You're listening to Morning Edition on this Wednesday here on WCBU. I'm Rich Drager. Illinois has launched a new Department of Early Childhood. The new agency is in charge of a wide range of early child care programs, from home visitations for newborns and mothers to preschool programs and child care licensing. New Early Childhood Secretary Teresa Ramos tells Peter Hancock from Capital News, Illinois, the new state department has been several years in the making.
The last several years has been really working to understand current program operations, to listen to parents and providers about what isn't working, so that way we can really lead with ensuring that we have a simpler, better, fairer system for them.
So how hard is it launching a new agency from the ground up as opposed to, say, going into one of those agencies and just kind of overhauling the way it does business?
I can only speak to what it's been to launch a new agency, and it's incredibly exciting because it's something that we haven't done before in Illinois. Other states have done it, and we have been really intentional about connecting and learning from them. We've had to start up, the backbone agency operations like fiscal and human resources, while we work to bring everyone together from three different cultures into one mission, serving families with the youngest children across the diversity of the state.
We live in an economy now where, if you're a young family with young children, it really takes both parents working to make ends meet, which really makes childcare an essential service. It's not really a luxury anymore. And so I'm sort of wondering how you view that aspect of what the new agency does, how it fits in just with kind of the daily lives of ordinary Illinois citizens.
Early childhood education is so important on so many broad levels. 90% of brain development happens before the age of 5, and the early childhood workforce supports all the other workforces, allowing parents to go and families to go to work, ensuring that they're cared for by a trained workforce. We know that continuing to build on the governor's investment and attention over the last several years will get us on a path to be the best state in the nation to raise a family with young children, because exactly your point, early childhood care and education is essential to our children and to our economy.
I read your agency has a budget going into this new fiscal year of about $4.4 billion. You have a head count staff of over 500 individuals. I know that throughout the process of getting this agency up and going, there were some in the legislature who were hoping that this new agency, the whole would be something less than the sum of its parts, that there would be efficiencies and savings from putting all of these functions under one roof. Are we seeing savings, or is that not really the point of the new agency?
We are at the end of the first, really the second phase of this transition, where we're about to launch into program administration, and we're doing something never done before, which is exciting. It is a gradual transition, which means as we transition from old ways of working separately to together, we know that there will continue to be work to do over the next fiscal year and years after to make that transition come to life. Again, a sunrise, more gradual. We have been focused on making sure that there's minimal to no disruption of services at the result of the transition, which means we are ensuring the current process works well now as we transition everything over, as we build for greater equity, greater efficiency, and ultimately effectiveness of our program operations, which will continue to grow and evolve over time. So the goal of the new agency is really to deliver effective services for the families with young children who want them across the rich racial, regional, cultural, and linguistic diversity of the state. And that's how we're going to really track our success over time.
Out of all of the functions that you're going to start performing here, I mean, you're taking over like home visitations for newborn infants and their mothers, to childcare licensing, to regulation of preschools. Out of all of those, one that seems to have been top of mind to a lot of lawmakers has been the licensing of childcare workers and the amount of time that it has taken. Is that going to be easier under this new agency?
I think the answer is yes, over time. The new department will not become responsible for background checks until next July at the earliest. That's because, and we just passed HB 5099, which will allow us to go to the FBI for approval. That can take up to a year to go through their approval process. And then a year from now, we will be able to process our own background checks. At that time, what will also happen is that we will see, I think, both operational enhancements and improvements, but also the legislation that we just passed allows background checks to follow the individual employee rather than being tied to the center, which will ease the reapplication process for backgrounds, putting less pressure on the system. And that law takes into effect next year as well.
So what have you learned along the way?
Oh, Peter, that's such a good question. I learned so much. I think reinforce some of the things that we already know, which are systems are people, and to ensure that we have, strong functioning systems, we support a lot of communications internally with all of our amazing staff. It also includes making sure that we are communicating with the field across the diversity of folks, from parents, providers in rural and urban areas across the state. I'm really proud of what the team here has done to listen to feedback and to turn that into actions, sometimes really big, like starting the whole agency, but really made up a lot of small actions that will equal over time a much simpler, easier process for families and providers to navigate.
That was Teresa Ramos, Secretary of the new Illinois Department of Early Childhood, speaking with Peter Hancock from Capital News, Illinois. You're listening to Morning Edition here on WCBU.